There is a lie in this world that we have all been told. A lie that we have all, at some point, believed. That love must be begged for, pursued, or even forced. How many times have we found ourselves chasing after affection, scraping at the feet of another, believing that our worth lies in the approval of others? In doing so, we surrender our power, compromise our peace, and diminish our inner fortitude. The modern world tells us that love is a commodity, something to be earned through effort, through pleads, through actions that bend us, twist us, and distort our essence. But this is not love. This is desperation. True love, authentic love, cannot be earned. It cannot be manipulated or forced. It is not a currency that can be bargained for. Love, at its core, is a natural force, a response that arises in alignment with the strength of one's own being. To beg for it, to plead for it, is to reveal to the universe that we do not understand its nature, and in our ignorance we blind ourselves to its presence. We must learn together how to live without begging for love, not through indifference, not through coldness, but through inner control, clarity, and strength. This is the path of the Stoic, and in this path we discover that love, when it comes without effort. It is the fruit of a life well lived. The power of self-control, the Stoic foundation. The first lesson, and the greatest lesson, is one of self-control. To understand the true nature of love, we must first understand the true nature of the self. The Stoics, great philosophers who lived centuries ago, knew that in a world full of distractions, pain, and uncertainty, the only true mastery lay within. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This power, this strength, is not the strength of the body, nor the strength of external success. It is the strength of the mind, the ability to control one's emotions, desires, and reactions. When we can control our own minds, we no longer need to beg for love. Instead, we draw love to us as a natural byproduct of our inner strength. Self-control, in this sense, is not about suppression or avoidance. It is the art of discerning what is worth pursuing, what is worth feeling, and what is beneath our dignity. When we master our emotions, we no longer need external validation to feel worthy. We feel worthy because we have mastered ourselves. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of our emotional turmoil comes not from the reality of the world around us, but from our reactions to it. Our desires become our greatest enemies. Our longing for love, approval, and attention, when unchecked, becomes a prison. To truly live is to free ourselves from these chains, to recognize that our worth is not dependent on anyone's love, but on the strength we build within. The destructive nature of begging for love. When we beg for love, we are not only surrendering our power, but we are also creating destructive forces within ourselves. Our self-worth becomes conditional. It becomes a hostage to the whims of others. And this is a dangerous game, for when we tie our happiness to another person's affections, we place our entire existence in their hands. Our mood, our peace, and our contentment become dependent on their actions, their words, their responses. This is not freedom. This is slavery. In our desperation, we compromise our dignity. We lose ourselves, and in losing ourselves, we make ourselves unworthy of the love we seek. True love cannot be born from desperation. It cannot flourish in a soil of insecurity, of neediness, or of dependency. Love, true love, is a meeting of equals. It is a connection between two self-sufficient beings who choose each other not out of need, but out of the freedom to choose. Epictetus, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, taught us that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When we beg for love, we allow ourselves to react with weakness, to believe that our worth is subject to another's will. But in doing so, we abandon the one thing that makes us truly powerful, our independence. The illusion of control, surrendering the need for approval. We live in a world obsessed with validation. We are constantly seeking approval from others, whether it's through likes on social media, compliments from peers, or affection from a partner. But none of these things are within our control. We cannot force others to love us. We cannot make someone care for us in the way we desire. And when we try, we set ourselves up for disappointment and pain. True strength, the Stoics taught, comes from surrendering the need for approval, not through apathy or indifference, but through understanding that our value is not determined by the external world. Our value lies in our actions, our virtues, and the way we carry ourselves through the trials of life. Don't explain your philosophy, said Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Embody it. And so, we do not beg for love, we embody it. We live with dignity, with strength, with grace. And in doing so, we attract love as a natural consequence of our being. For love, like all things, gravitates toward that which is grounded, that which is self-sufficient, and that which does not seek validation from the world outside. Love as a natural force. The Stoic view of affection. The Stoic view of love is one of acceptance, not pursuit. Love is not something that must be chased or demanded. It is something that flows naturally when we align ourselves with our true nature. Just as the river does not beg the earth for a path, love does not beg for expression. It flows freely when the conditions are right. But the conditions must be right. We must first cultivate the conditions for love to grow within ourselves. We do this through virtue. The Stoics believed that virtue was the highest good, and that living virtuously was the only way to align oneself with the natural order of the universe. When we live virtuously, we live in harmony with nature, and in doing so, we attract love naturally. There is a great freedom in this understanding. When we stop begging for love, when we stop forcing affection, we allow ourselves to live authentically. We are no longer slaves to the approval of others. We are free to choose our path, to love ourselves first, and to offer love to others without expectation. This is the art of not forcing love. It is the art of living in accordance with our true nature. Overcoming destructive emotions, transforming pain into strength. The path to true love requires us to overcome our most destructive emotions. Anger, jealousy, insecurity, and fear are the emotions that often arise when we feel rejected or unloved. But these emotions, if not controlled, will destroy us. They will cloud our judgment, poison our relationships, and blind us to the beauty that exists within and around us. The Stoics teach us that we must not suppress these emotions, but rather we must transform them. We do not let anger dictate our actions. We do not let jealousy control our thoughts. Instead, we observe these emotions, understand their origin, and choose to act in accordance with reason, not reaction. When we stop allowing destructive emotions to control us, we free ourselves from the need to beg for love. We no longer need to seek validation because we have learned to validate ourselves. We no longer need to force affection because we have learned to offer it freely, without expectation. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, living in harmony with the universe. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, understood the deep power of living in harmony with nature. In his meditations he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the essence of the Stoic path. The obstacles we face, the rejections, the pains, the failures, are not roadblocks to love. They are opportunities to grow in virtue, to cultivate our inner strength, and to become more aligned with the natural flow of the universe. When we stop begging for love, when we stop forcing affection, we align ourselves with this flow. We no longer see obstacles as hindrances, but as opportunities to learn, to grow, and to become the best versions of ourselves. And in doing so, love flows naturally into our lives as the result of a life well lived. The true art of love. The art of not forcing love is not a path of coldness or detachment. It is not a rejection of love, but a deep acceptance of the self. It is the realization that true love flows naturally from a life of self-mastery, virtue, and inner strength. It is a recognition that our worth is not determined by the approval of others, but by the integrity of our own actions, the clarity of our own thoughts, and the power of our own heart. When we stop begging for love, when we stop forcing affection, we make space for love to enter our lives freely. We no longer need to seek it, for it is already here, in the way we carry ourselves, in the way we live in accordance with our highest virtues.